Do you ever get confused about how to eat, what diet is best? If you do, you're not alone. Another new study just came out saying the new best diet for weight loss. Is it low carb? Is it carnivore? Is it Mediterranean? Is it any of these things that we've heard over and over that are the best? When there's so much noise out there, it can be confusing. But today I'm going to explain why, regardless if you're trying to lose weight or not, understanding the principles of this diet will make everything for you easier. Welcome to Change Made Easy. My name is Paul Levitin, and I help high achievers just like you who feel stuck to bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Traditional self-help doesn't work. It's either too rigid, too generic, or too overwhelming. My approach is different. I simplify change by making it so easy it can't not happen. Using my easier framework, I'll help you create habits, routines, and behaviors that stick so you can stop struggling and start thriving. It's that easy. As I mentioned in the intro, a study came out recently. And in the study, the authors looked at the differences in different diets, specifically comparing intermittent fasting or time-restricted fasting with daily caloric restriction, or what would be considered a normal diet. As you know by now from our past conversations, losing weight is all about a calorie deficit. What that means is eating less calories than you consume. So any weight loss diet or any way that you eat that would lead to weight loss or losing weight simply means that you're eating less calories than you burned. So it doesn't matter if it's any of the ones I named in the intro, if it's low carb, if it's keto, if it's carnivore, if it's intermittent fasting, or if it's Mediterranean. Any diet that you or anyone does that allows them to lose weight means that the diet caused them to eat less calories. So it's not the specific diet. It's not paleo. It's not carnivore. It doesn't matter the foods. All of those diets eat different foods, but all of them can lead to weight loss because all of them can lead you to eat less calories. Someone who switches to carnivore being eating nothing but meat. A lot of people have talked about that in recent months and years. Someone who switches to carnivore who was eating lots of bread and cookies and pasta, now they're only eating meat, chances are they're eating a lot less overall calories by cutting out all of those other things that aren't meat. So it's not really the carnivore aspect, it's simply the reduction in calories. So overall, whatever diet you choose, if you want it to cause you to lose weight, to lose fat, which is something that many Americans have as a goal because so many are walking around with a little bit of extra on them, and we know the direct health correlation between less fat and better health and more fat and worsening health. So it's reasonable to want to reduce the amount of body fat that we carry around. And anyone who is looking to do that needs to find some type of diet that allows them to eat less calories overall, less calories than they burn. That's the rules of dieting. So whatever name you put to a diet doesn't matter. Whatever diet your friend tells you works or whatever diet you heard about, it will work if it causes you to eat less calories than you burn each day. I am so pumped to tell you about my partnership with My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. If you listen to this show, you know that we do not suffer from a lack of information. Most people know what they need to change. The problem is actually sticking to it long enough to see results. When it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, My Body Tutor solves this problem by giving you customized plans, one-on-one coaching, and daily accountability. As a bonus for you, they are offering $50 off your first month. What makes My Body Tutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. That's someone to check in with you, talk to, plan with, someone who can help you when things are going hard. It's not ChatGPT, it's not some algorithm. This is a real human. I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with My Body Tutor as one of their tutors since 2020. With so much nonsense and misinformation and just bad actors out in the health and wellness space, My Body Tutor is helping people the real way. They are changing lives. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm honored to be a part of it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you can see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And remember, listeners of this show get $50 off their first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. On top of that, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee. So this is really a no-brainer. And like I said, I really do work for them. So if you've ever wanted to work with me personally, you can even request to have me as your body tutor. How cool would that be? Once again, just say Paul sent you and get $50 off your first month, start with no risk, and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life. So the study I want to talk about today is called The Effect of 4-3 Intermittent Fasting on Weight Loss at 12 Months, a randomized clinical trial. And what this study was looking at specifically and why it's important for you and why it's important for our context in the Change Made Easy world is because they were looking at comparing intermittent fasting, specifically a 4-3 protocol, which I'll explain in a moment, with just daily calorie restriction. And intermittent fasting simply means changing the amount of times in which you allow yourself to eat. So intermittent fasting, again, gained a lot of popularity over the last 10 years or so. It's talked about a lot. But as I just said, any diet works if it causes you to eat less food and less calories overall. So intermittent fasting, what a lot of people do is they'll have a window where they can eat and then a window where they don't eat. So that might be an eating window of 12 noon to 6 p.m. So you eat your calories between 12 and 6 p.m. And then the outside window of that from 6 p.m. till 12 noon is no eating no matter what. So it's 6 hours of eating and then 18 hours of no eating. So it's not really that intermittent fasting is magical, but this does help many people lose weight because it's just easier to reduce the amount of overall calories that you eat when you are only eating for 6 hours versus if you wake up at 6 a.m., you have your first meal at 7 and you don't have your last meal or snack till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Just probabilistically speaking, you're bound to often eat more calories when you're eating for more time. So we've seen that over time, that intermittent fasting can help people reduce their overall calories. But what this study was looking at specifically is what they call the 4-3 intermittent fasting protocol. And I'll explain how that works right now. So one group, the control group, was known as daily caloric restriction. Daily caloric restriction is akin to a traditional diet, eating a little bit less calories each day. That's what I said any diet will do if its goal is to make you lose weight. So the people on the daily caloric restriction group were told to reduce their overall daily calories by about 30%. So whatever they would normally eat, reduce it by 30%, 7 days a week. So that is a traditional diet. But the 4-3 intermittent fasting group was told instead to reduce their daily calories by 80%. So nearly triple what the control group was reducing, right? 30% to 80%. But they only had to do that reduction for 4 days a week. So an 80% reduction for 4 days a week. And then the other 3 days a week, this is the 4-3, the other 3 days a week, they were told to eat as they saw fit. They didn't have to restrict their calories. They were able to just do whatever they wanted. And what these researchers saw was over 12 months, the 4-3 intermittent fasting group saw more weight loss overall than the daily restriction group. So what does this mean for you? And why does it matter? And why am I talking about it? This is not me telling you that you should start intermittent fasting or that you should do a 4-3 fast or anything like that. I'm bringing this up because it highlights perfectly everything that you and I have spoken about for the past 300 some odd episodes. It's about making it easier. You can look at this study and think, oh, intermittent fasting, that's the magic pill. That's the magic bullet I've been looking for. Intermittent fasting is what makes fat loss happen. That would be, I think, the wrong conclusion to make from this. The conclusion that I draw from this is that a 4-3 fasting protocol diet where you're able to restrict calories for 4 days, but then not have to think about it for 3 days makes things easier. This is what this is all about. Going back to everything I've said, change made easy. Change happens when you make it so easy, it can't not happen. So although theoretically a 30% calorie deficit might sound easier than an 80% calorie deficit for 4 days, that 30% calorie deficit that the normal calorie restriction group was doing, it never turned off. And you've probably had this experience if you've ever been on a traditional diet before where it's just like, oh my gosh, will this thing ever end? It's always running in the back of your head. What am I going to eat? Is this allowed? Is that allowed? Is this good? Is that good? And after a while, you just get burned out. And this is why most weight loss protocols fail, because people just stop doing them. As I said before, any diet works if it puts you in a calorie deficit. So why does everyone struggle so much? It's because they don't stick to a thing long enough. And for good reasons. It's hard and it sucks. So this intermittent fasting protocol is not magic and it's not special. But what it does is it makes it a little bit easier. It takes the mental load off from the person doing it. Because yes, they have to restrict their calories more for 4 days, but then for 3 days, they get to not think about it. For 3 days, they just get to coast and they just get to be chill. It's not so overwhelming then. It's not always on the back of their mind. They don't have to think, oh my gosh, is it always going to be like this? Because they know that they have a 3-day break coming up. It's not, can I always live like this? Because they know they don't actually always have to live with this. It's not everything always thinking, is this a good food choice? Am I allowed to eat this? Should I eat this? All of this food noise that we call it, the internal chatter inside of our heads that goes around regarding food, doesn't have to exist all the time because of the 4-3 protocol. So is this a good protocol for you? If you're trying to lose weight and you've tried traditional diet structures in the past and they may or may not have worked, there's no harm in trying something like this. Try it. But the point that I want you to take away from this is that everything works better when you make it easier. When we are talking about big life change, changing your body, changing your mindset, changing your relationships, changing your finances, these are lifetime pursuits. You don't get to shut it off after a while. This is what happens and why they end up gaining weight back. Everyone's heard statistics like 90% of people who lose weight gain that weight back. And that's because they do something without the long-term thought in it. So they diet, they do something that they don't like doing, that kind of sucks. And they're like, well, I can do this for 6 weeks or 3 months or 6 months. But then what happens after that? Whenever you're creating a change, when you're building something into your life that you want to be a part of your life for good, you have to look at it with the long-term view. Remember, as you and I have talked about, in my easier framework, the R stands for repeatable. That's the last piece of the framework, easier. R means repeatable. Can I repeat this forever? Not just until I get to my goal. So it's not just can I stick to this diet until I lose the weight. It's can I stick to this diet after I've lost the weight and forever. It's not just can I reduce my spending until I have enough saved. It's can I live in a way where I'm not spending past my means forever. It's not just can I exercise until I reach a certain milestone. It's can I put an exercise routine together that I can do until I'm 70, 80, or 90 years old. That is how I think we should be looking at the big issues that we deal with in life. And that's exactly what I took away from this study. Because what we saw is that the 4-3 fasting group lost more weight. But it was not because there was anything superior to the actual diet. If the control group, the daily caloric restriction group, the 30% reduction group, stuck to the diet that they had, actually did a 30% reduction in food for the entire year, they would have had as good results as the 4-3 group. The entire thing that held them back was that they had less adherence. The people who were on the 30% reduction did not adhere to the protocol as well as the people who were on the 4-3 group. So the 4-3 group, even though it had these big swings of some days you're 80% restricted, some days you're not restricted at all, it allowed people to adhere to it better, and they were able to stick to it for the full year. Whereas from the daily caloric restriction group, many more of them dropped out and didn't even make it to the end of the year. Specifically in this study, from the intermittent fasting group, 19% of the participants who started didn't finish, so almost 20% didn't finish. Whereas from the daily caloric restriction group, 30% did not finish. So that's a little bit over 50% more people from the daily caloric restriction group didn't finish. That's a big difference. A 50% change is everything. So remember when you are going into anything, if it's weight loss, if it's getting healthy, if it's changing your physical body, if it's changing your relationships, if it's changing your finances, if it's starting something new, anything that you want to change, the way to do it is to make it easier. The long game is the only game that counts. What you can do for a few months or a few weeks does not matter. It's what you can do forever that moves the needle. So my action step for you today is to start to look at things with a long-term view. Whatever the goals that you have, start to think about not just, can I do this right now? But is this something that I could do or see myself doing years from now? Obviously, we know things change. Obviously, we know you'll change. You might be a different person 5 years from now. You might not want to do that thing. But in theory, could you keep up the pace that you're at from now for the next decade? If you can't, it's worth asking, is it worth it to put time and effort into something that I know I can't stick with long term? If weight loss is also something that you're interested in and you want to learn a little bit more about diet specifically, check out the episode titled Meal Planning Made Easy. I've linked to it in the show notes, and that's a great place to go from here. If you're working on changing your diet, exercise, or other habits around food and fitness, you have to check out My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the world's leading nutrition coaching platform that helps people find their healthy weight and keep it forever through sustainable habit change. And you know, as a listener of this show, that when it comes to creating change, it's all about sustainability and consistency. And when it comes to diet, exercise, and getting in shape, My Body Tutor solves the problem of consistency through one-on-one coaching, customized plans, and daily accountability. And as a bonus for you, they're offering $50 off your first month. But what really makes My Body Tutor so unique is they offer daily accountability with a real human coach. And I know because I'm one of them. I have been working with My Body Tutor since 2020. There's so much misinformation, so much nonsense out there in the health and wellness space, but not with My Body Tutor. My Body Tutor is the real deal. They are changing lives. I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and I'm honored to continue to grow with them. And you don't have to take my word for it. Check out mybodytutor.com, where you will see hundreds of testimonials and reviews. And as a special bonus, for listeners of this show, you will get $50 off your first month. Just click the link in the show notes or go to mybodytutor.com and tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you in your intake questionnaire, and you'll automatically get a huge discount. And remember, they offer a money-back, risk-free guarantee, so this is a no-brainer for you. And no joke, I really do work for them. So if you want to work with me personally, ask for Paul as your tutor. Once again, tell them Paul from Change Made Easy sent you for $50 off your first month. Start with no risk and see how the power of a coach with daily accountability can literally change your life.